we go. Okay, so welcome to the fourth Hoops and Dreams QPR podcast in the wonderful month of November. And this is a first, it's a daylight recording. So we get to see everybody as they really are, not as the vampirish version of them. I'm your host, Kingfisher, and that's what I'm known anyway as on the Hoops and Dreams QPR Forum. And this month, we're going to go through all the QPR matches that we played in October and the first bit of November. And then we're going to talk about those predictions for the following matches leading up to Christmas. And I'm hoping that we're going to add in a few extra questions as well. So joining me this month are two new guests, and I'm delighted to introduce my first guest, Dave Barton. Hello, Dave. He is a recent convert to the Hoops and Dreams Forum, where he goes under the name of Dave B. Dave is also an occasional contributor to a Kick Up the R's fanzine. And I wanted to ask you something, Dave. Am I correct in thinking you once used to run a website that used to give match reports and I think probably...
Yeah, back in the day, I started it around 98. I've done it for about 10 years. So yeah, I used to do match reports, profiles, that sort of malarkey.
I will let the others into a little secret. Last month, Dave was going to come on, but he got pulled off to go and work for his employer, and he couldn't join James, Northwest Hoop, on here. And Northwest Hoop told me that the reason he started supporting QPR was because he used to look at your website, used to get excited by your match reports, and that spurred him on to become a QPR fan.
Well, that's good to hear.
Right, now we've humbled you. My second guest is Chad, known on the site as Sorry Chad, who once kindly donated a free ticket to me, as long as I could rush up to the Ellerslie Road stand and get in there quick, which I managed to do and really enjoyed the game. I can't even remember which game it was now, but thank you very much, Sorry Chad, and welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I'm pretty good. Let's just hope it all stays this way throughout. Let's get on to our matches. We'll do them in order, obviously, and as with September, the first few weeks of October were taken up with the international break. So we didn't actually start our first matches until I think it was around about the 16th it was. And the first one was a nice one, Fulham. So Dave, the result was a 4-1 defeat. I think it was a fair result and a good performance.
It was a fair result, to be honest. In the end, it was deja vu, really, when it seems to be that way everywhere time we go to Fulham. When you see their results since, I feel less bad about it because they seem to have thrashed everyone this month. But it was so similar to every other time we go there, and similar when we played Brentford as well. We just stood off them, let them play, and Dave just run rings around us. It was a difficult afternoon, wasn't it? And we did well to get back to 1-1, and you thought, they were wobbling a little bit at 1-1, but then they just collapsed completely the last 20 minutes or so. I was just pleased it ended only 4. It did feel like it was going to be worse at one stage.
That says a lot, doesn't it? Chad, do you think we should have been really satisfied if we got a draw?
Well, I was at this 6-1 thrashing a few years back, so at 4-1, I was quite happy. It was one of those games. I think it showed what a difference in class that teams coming down from the Premiership have now. When you got someone like Mitrovic up front, he really is a Premiership striker. This league is so easy for him, and in all fairness, I think we've got 3 great defenders, but they still need a lot of work, a lot of polishing up. And 4-1 was a fair result. You can't really argue about it, really. Across the pitch, we were just second best everywhere. Yeah,
I have to agree with that. I was watching this with some optimism at the beginning. Despite the focus upon the attacking, because I think we had 4 strikers on the bench. We were really going to go for it. And against the side that plays football like Fulham, you probably haven't got much choice unless you're going to go for the Middlesbrough approach of sort of parking everybody back and not moving the bus at all. But I mean, I had real concerns about in that game against Adebayo. I think he had a terrible game. He really was dire. But in the midfield, I thought we did really well. It was just the fact that when it came to scoring up front, we couldn't seem to do it, and our defence was just being overwhelmed. So
I mean, it was never a day for three at the back. 2 wing backs and stuff like that. It was especially like Adebayo, he loves going forward, but he's not often in a rush to get back either, is he? In all fairness,
no.
Yeah, they exploited that all afternoon. It's been a problem for a long time. That big gap between the centre back and the right back, and they exploited it all afternoon. And then, like you said, Mitrovic is such a good player. They just couldn't get anywhere near him.
Yeah, and I think
he was on fire that day as well, wasn't he? Properly on fire. It's we're their big game, obviously, aren't we? Against QPR, it's the local rivals, and they wanted it more than we did as well. I think we looked a bit nervous, to be quite anything, on the ball.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, first half, I was thinking if we could get in half time only 1 down, that's all right. And they managed that, and then obviously got themselves levels. You think maybe it's going to be different this time, but in the end, didn't it? They were just too strong. And the annoying thing was it was silly errors again that cost us. Even the third goal, Johansson and Dunn both had a chance to. It was a simple pass through. They both had a chance to block it. They both missed it, and then I think it was Reed was clean for him scored. It was just silly little errors. I thought. Even though his header for the second goal was a good goal, Mitrovic, you've got to be a bit stronger as a centre half against him. It was frustrating, but Fulham are going to go up, and let's be honest, they're a good side.
I think he's still suffering up his mistake.
Yeah, I have to say,
you're
talking here about
suffering. Yeah,
we are getting there, but we're not there yet. Fulham is the exact reverse. They've just come down from the Premier League, kept most of their players or rehoned those that they've got. And you can see the difference. The class is there. So perhaps we should not be too despondent about this.
Yeah, I thought we looked a bit like Fulham 3-4 years ago when they were kind of at the start of building this sort of team, and they've been yo-yoing and got the money. We're a fair way behind them, aren't we? But I don't think that's a disaster. You think the money they've had to spend. Let's talk. The Mitrovic is $100,000 a week. You can't. We've got no chance of competing for that, really, have we?
No, not at all. I mean, they've spent the money over many years now, haven't they? Really, So we're a long way behind where they are. A long way. But saying that, I think the way the club's being run at the moment, we can get back up there again.
Yes, certainly. Yeah.
I agree. I think everybody on the forum, when you ever this is bounced around, comes back with the thing about it's far, far better now. The setup there at the club is far, far better. Okay, on to our second game, which was the following Tuesday, and it was against Blackburn at home. And could the R's bounce back from their defeat on the Saturday? It was a very hard-fought game, this one, where the sides were separated by a single superb goal in the 83rd minute by Ilias Chair. So, starting with you, Chad, were you there for this one for a start? And did you see this?
I certainly was.
Right.
I wasn't going to miss that.
And what did you feel about that?
Yeah, it was. We had to win. It was a game, I think, after being completely done by Fulham, and there was no arguments about it. This was a game we had to win, basically. And I thought we'd done well. We stuck to a game plan. Chair's goal was just, it's brilliant. But I'd like to see. I think he's scored way more goals like that. I don't think he has enough shots, in my opinion. He's always trying to find those little killer ball throughs. Well, no, sod that. You've got the ability. Have a few screamers. Get us up off our seats. So no, I was pleased. I thought it was a deserved win. Like I say, it was hard fought, but I thought it was a justified win in the end, to be quite honest.
So did you think that Blackburn came along to win or just not to lose?
It's a tough one. I think no team comes along just not to lose. They're always looking for that opportunity. And you've always got, the professional sportsmen, they want to win a game. They may be set up just to, but yeah, it's one of those, you're away from home. Perhaps Blackburn didn't want to lose the game, but they had chances. They had the chances throughout the game, so it's take the win, be happy, move on.
They seemed to come to try and nick a 1-0, didn't they? But obviously it just didn't work out for them.
So do you think it was a well-deserved win, Dave?
Yeah, I think so. I thought we played quite well on the night. It was a big game, because after losing to Fulham, we didn't want to go lose a second on the bounce. But they did well on the night. It kind of felt like, even though it was quite late, we scored. I did think we were going to score in the end. We were kind of putting a lot of pressure on them. After Adoma played that night, I thought he was fantastic that night. He made a real difference. He was tearing them apart down the right, and really lifted the crowd as well and kept the crowd in the game, which really helped. And obviously, Chair's goal was fantastic at the end, wasn't it? And then obviously, then we spent the last 10 minutes wasting as much time as we possibly could after they had for 80 minutes.
There were a few antics, I must admit. I sit really close to the away fans. And honestly, they're just going to just their arms are up in the air. Just go, come on. You're thinking, no, take it, fall over again, roll over once more.
Yeah.
There must have been some very wet people there, because that was yet another monsoon game.
Oh, that was unbelievable that night, wasn't it?
Unbelievable, absolutely. I must be about a good 15 or rows. I'm on the upper level, about 15 rows back, and the rain was coming in on me. It was that bad. Me and my daughter just sat there hugging each other, just shivering.
Ellerslie Road's more sheltered.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah, we're in the lower loft, and basically when the rain started, everyone in the first 10 rows just moved back, and it was all just down staircases, like no one's sitting down the front.
You made some very close personal friends that night.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm lucky my seat's undercover, but yeah, we've had a lot of friends that night.
Well, I think
those games where the weather was really, it was so bad that it could have gone either way, to be quite honest. You could see the players, there was, and like I say, I think Dickey, for me, I think he played very well that game as well. Bear in mind the battering he did off Mitrovic, and I think he played really well. And it was Dickey who done, wasn't it Dickey who done the assist as well for Chair, wasn't it?
It was. It was.
So it was deserved game, great goal. Happy with it. Walked away a very happy man.
I think the thing that came out for me was the fact that Blackburn came with the idea of adopting a high press, and given the conditions that we like to play on the ground, the weather was completely against us on this. It suited Blackburn, if anyone. And when they adopted that high press, it made it so difficult for the back three to get the ball out. They became reliant upon getting it out to whoever was going to be the ball player for there, move it upfield. Very, very difficult. And that's where the wing backs came into their own. And Adebayo, doing that, took pressure off the middle of the midfield and actually achieved something. I think he did a good job. Both Ball and Dazelle, I thought, worked really, really hard to exclude Blackburn from being a threat. Really impressed with them that night. Chair and Willock, a lot of complaints about they didn't do very much. Well, they had very tight marking. Blackburn had obviously decided these were going to be the difference between the teams, and they sat on them, and they just couldn't get away. But it was lovely to frustrate Blackburn with that goal. And they did really, really well. And I just wonder whether anybody else felt that Tony Mowbray was who Mr. Punch was modelled on. Was it just me? I mean, when you see him on the sideline, I'm sure it's Mr. Punch. I am convinced.
You mentioned Dazelle there. Dazelle, for me, as a player, is just getting better and better and better.
Yeah.
His passing accuracy is phenomenal. He keeps it nice and simple, but his pass through, we'll go on to that game in a bit, for Gray the other day. We're missing that so much. We really are missing it. Whereas I think Johansson, for me, is probably not the player we had at the end of last season. Dazelle is stepping up to be a player that we actually really quite need now as well. So I really like him. I think he's a fantastic player.
Yeah, we've got two players there who are the same. Yeah. No, I'm dead with you on that. Right, so let's go.
There's a bit of forward thinking as well by the club, because he's obviously going to replace Johansson eventually. You think Johansson will probably be for this year, and then Dazelle after. But maybe not a bit earlier the way it's gone recently.
Actually, Dave,
my opinion on that is if we don't go up this year, Johansson and a few others will go, because obviously we need to. You've got to think about FFP, and Dazelle will almost build a team around Dazelle, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So what's changed? How come we suddenly have gone from a club that was buying in left, right, and centre, and frankly often buying rubbish, to a club that is suddenly being able to go out, look and get the right people, and they're not people for now, they're people for the next season or the season after that.
Honest truth, I think you've got to look at Lee Hughes and Les Ferdinand. I think they've come in. Les Ferdinand sat on the back lines for many, many years now and watched, like Tony Fernandes and that try and buy success and think this is the way we do it. And I think he's now said, no. You spent your money now. Let's do it our way. And I think that's what the real difference is those two guys. And my biggest fear right now is not losing Dickey or Chair or Willock. It's losing one of those two guys, because I think they are so influential to where we go. And, for me personally, I can't praise them two enough. You praise all you like with the players on the pitch. We've got some fantastic players, but them two have changed it. And, and I think they're the ones that have changed the whole philosophy of the club. It's brilliant.
I think you can see from the nod that Dave and I agree.
They've changed the whole philosophy of the place. It's even right from the start when Ferdinand first come in. Obviously, the results weren't great, but they were giving young players a chance. Not many of them worked, but it just changed the whole culture of the place. And it's all about more development. And each year they've got a little bit better. And I think we've got a really good squad now. I think he's done a great job there.
Don't get me wrong. I think they made some mistakes about a couple of the managers as well. Hall, I think, was it was a good shout at the time, thinking, we could take a step up, but he wasn't quite ready for being a manager at that point. But bringing in Warburton is someone I've admired for many years. I thought he'd done a cracking job at Brentford. At Rangers, I've got a couple of friends. I do work in Scotland, and a couple of friends are Rangers fans. And they said, actually, we could see the future with him. We thought, that he's one of these managers needs to build up time, sort of thing. So I think that's what the difference is. The philosophy around a club, and is that knowing that we have to go back to where we were 30 years ago when we used to bring in players from lower leagues, Paul Parker, Sinton, Seaman, all these players from League Ones and League Twos that we brought through, and that's where we are again now. It probably sounds stupid, but I feel like we've got our club back. This is our heart and soul. This is what we do basically. We're never going to be the next Man City or Man United or something like that. But always be a club that can develop players, build, and punch above our weight. I think that's what we're doing now. Was it someone mentioned at the on the commentary of the Blackpool game? We've got a top championship team on a bottom of the championship budget.
Yeah,
that sums it up.
That's, that's who QPR are. To me, that's who we are. That's what we are, basically.
You've seen like last year's like Eze come through and obviously went for big money, and it'll probably be like maybe Chair or Willock next, but they seem to be able to bring in the next one, like you say, like they used to with Sinclair coming in after Sinton left, and so on and so forth. I think it's really good. And I thought it was good last year when obviously that really bad run around Christmas last year, and Warburton looked like he was going to go. To be fair to Ferdinand and Hughes, they stuck with him and the owners as well, and obviously he turned it around. I think other managers, other eras, they definitely would have sacked him, and then who knows where we'd be now.
I'd be interested to know how close he came though, because you sort of think, I bet that was close, because all of a sudden you got 2 or 3 players, and it was like, we're a different team now. But even he's thinking he had his bags packed when he just went for the call.
I do think that there was a game just after we lost to Swansea Boxing Day, and then we were supposed to just play Luton New Year, and it was called off because of the weather. I think it was COVID or something. For some reason, it was called off. I think that did him a big favour because he had 2-3 weeks before the next game, and then he was able to get him on the training ground, work on things. They brought Austin in that time. I think if they'd have played that Luton game when they were supposed to, and if we had lost, which we probably would have done when they were playing, he would have been off. It worked out.
And he moved to best 3.
Yes, but I think bringing in people like Charlie Austin and that. All right, I can't say Charlie Austin is a QPR fan, but he's a QPR man. I think he generally loves the club. And I think he bringing in players like that, and Adoma who've come in and said, no, this is our club. This is what we play for. This is the shirt. This is the badge. It's like the whole Clint Hill. Do you remember Clint Hill walking down the tunnel, tapping the thing, the image?
Yeah.
That's where we are now. I think everyone
doing that to the fans as he went past.
That's it. And all of a sudden, a lot of players like Dickey have come up who see us as a stepping stone to the next big step up. Let's make it, we all think they all play for the badge and stuff like that, but some of these players actually just want to get up to the Premier League. But I think they galvanised, Adoma and Austin have galvanised the team and said, no, this is the club. To get to these places, you've got to play for this club. And I think that made such a big difference as well, having those sort of players in, let alone their class. They could see with Austin as well, he's someone who developed to QPR and went on to bigger things, played in Europe with Southampton. So he can say, look, you can do it from QPR. And I got to the Premier League with QPR. So
Good point. Okay, guys, let's move on. On the 23rd, which was a Saturday, we played Peterborough away. So after the reverse of the fortunes against Blackburn, could we maintain the momentum against a side that was languishing just above the relegation zone? In the end, we struggled against a side that had the same formation as us and playing the same style of football. The Posh were always a threat on the break, and as we extended ourselves in seeking that extra goal, we allowed them to break, and it ended up in a 2-1 defeat. And for me, sadly, it was a fair result. Amazingly enough, we stayed 5th though, which was a bit of luck. So Dave, you think it was a fair result? I've said I think it was. Do you?
Yeah, I went to this one. It was a really frustrating afternoon. I think we had about 4,000 fans there. It was a great atmosphere, and it was just such a flat performance the whole way through. And when we went 1-up, it was kind of like, right, we haven't played well. We're 1-up. Let's just see the game out now. Just go on with the points. But it just got worse and worse. And Peterborough was a real threat all afternoon. I thought the guys up front were really quick. They caused us problems. Like you say, they won the winning goal in the last minute. All right, I kind of like that we keep going to try and win games when we're drawing rather than just settle for a draw. But at that stage, they were pushed so high up the pitch, and with that pace in behind, we'd already been caught about 3 times. It was like, oh, come on, this is suicidal, and it turned out that way, didn't it? The guy was clean through and scored. Yeah, it was frustrating. That was probably the worst I felt after a defeat this season. It was like that. I didn't think we turned up really all game. It was a poor performance, and that was one we really should have been looking to win. People are on a bad side. I don't think they're that as bad as their position suggests.
And this was the game that Albert Adoma started at the right wing back to replace Odebayo, who I think flipped over. So do you think he did well in this one? I mean, it was his first one. I think he obviously did a bit of training there, but I think it was quite a big ask to get him in to do that.
I think going forward, he's obviously strong. To be honest, whoever's played on that right defensively, there's been a problem. So you're probably better off having a player who's better attacking wise. On the day that I thought he made a bit of a mistake for the first goal, he was kind of asleep.
He was
under far post, and the guy scored. It wasn't the best game, and frustratingly, every time he comes on the dome when he's crossing, he's unbelievable, and there's never anyone in the middle. And we had Austin and Dykes up front, and his crossing was awful. It was like, oh my God, it's like it was such a role reversal of what he usually does. So we had the 2 in the middle who was ready to get the end of stuff, but nothing come in really for him. It was just a really frustrating day. Even we had chances. Austin missed an absolute sitter at 0-0.
Yes.
Scored.
Yeah.
We had chances in the game, but you couldn't argue with the result really, to be honest.
So Chad, what do you think Mark Warburton could have done differently to get a better result?
Firstly, saying, was anybody surprised by this result? QPR coming up against a team that are struggling for points and stuff like that as well. I think we all expected this one to, oh God, the team that's struggling to come against QPR, they're going to win. Albert Adoma is living my QPR dream. He's a QPR fan, playing for the club he loves and stuff like that. Agreed. Albert Adoma for me is not a right wing back. You know, you got to see the tackle against, was the guy there against Blackpool the other night. It wasn't a tackle. He literally just run halfway across the pitch and just shoved him off the pitch. He's not a right wing back. For me, he has to have someone behind him to let him give him the freedom just to go all out and attack. Basically, it's one of those things. We set up 3-5-2 or 3-5-1, 3-2-1, whatever it is. But there's certain games which calls out for a 4-4-2 formation, and I think that was one of the games where if you would have played Kake at right back, put Adama on the right hand side, Chair on the left, Willock up front, perhaps, or just behind a Dykes or an Austin or something like that, it would have made it different, because everyone's expecting us now, this 3 back. And you can see it game after game. People just keep putting boxes out into the wide channels. And to me, it was just, we knew they had pacey guys. You've only got to look at all of Peterborough's results. They're not getting smashed week after week after week. They're losing by the odd goal. It was never, ever going to be an easy game. And I just think, for me personally, probably we should have changed the formation a little bit sooner. As soon as we saw that being caught at the back, like I say, Dave mentioned 2-3 times early doors, wasn't it, Dave? We got caught
Yeah.
And you're thinking, right, we could be in trouble here, you know, so be prepared to change formation. We just left it a little bit too late, in my opinion, to be quite honest. Like I say, chase the game when realistically, 1-0 down, you're struggling. Let's just close the door. You know, let's just, you know, do whatever it takes. Just close the door and walk away from this one. Because that's the only way we're going to get into playoffs, is we're going to have some of these games, you're going to have to play ugly. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Well, Warburton's, he's actually made changes at half time when he's not been under threat, and he's made quite often the right choice. On this one, he had Ball come off at 58 minutes and replaced him with Amos. So that was an attacking move, I think. Austin was replaced by Gray at 66 minutes. And in the 81st minute, McCallum came off for Willock. So he really was going for it. But it didn't do any good. We were left exposed. You know, it was just one of those things.
Warburton is the Kevin Geoghegan of this era, isn't he? We're going to score more goals than you.
Yes. I often think that.
Yeah, but it's, you know, on this occasion, I personally would have stayed more defensive, you know, and gone for it at the back. But if I was, you know, if I was just knew what I was doing as a manager, I wouldn't be sat here as a salesperson.
I agree. No, you're absolutely right. Okay, let's move on to the Caribou Cup, our rare fourth round match against the high-flying Sunderland from League One. Changes were made, but Dieng stayed in goal, and Willock was up front with Dykes and Gray. So again, still an attacking one and full of confidence. So how did it remain 0-0 at full time and end up with QPR losing on penalties? Dave?
Well, we had, before the obvious talking point of the game, we had a lot of chances in the first half, which they really should have taken. I thought Gray had one he probably should have done better with, and the keeper made a couple of decent saves.
Yeah.
When they're on top, they had to get that first goal. I think if we'd have gone 1-up, I think we'd have won that reasonably comfortably. But the longer it went on, they dug in, and to be fair to Sunderland, I thought they played quite well. They were better than a few of the teams who played in the Championship this year. And then obviously there's the goal last minute or last 10 minutes. I still can't go over it. I can't believe that wasn't given. When we were right behind it, I mean, obviously you can't see for definite we're behind the goal if he's offside or not. You've seen on the TV, but I looked straight to the linesman, and he didn't do anything. And then everyone around me was going crazy. My son was running up and down the stairs going berserk, and I was like, I just had a bad feeling about it. And it wasn't until Austin got to the corner flag celebrating that the flag went up, and I couldn't believe it. It was just it was really soul destroying. And I do think that had a big impact on the penalties. The players looked absolutely sunk. I think when they saw the replay of it, they knew they were robbed of it, really. But, you know, unfortunately, things go against us sometimes.
You know, okay, so Chad, do you think that is there anything else they could have done? Perhaps. I mean, one thing I would highlight is that this is a side that had played penalties and done miraculously well. I was amazed. England could have learned from them, and then suddenly we end up with this becoming the laughing stock against Sunderland. I don't know what went wrong.
I think Dave hit the nail on the head there. You know, I think everybody in that ground knew that was never offside. It was clear to everybody, and how the ref decided to call it offside, I have no idea. And I think that done it. I mean, Charlie Austin's first penalty was savable. It was the right height, wasn't it? The keeper knew where he was going. It was easily savable. You know, he had to make the save. It's still a fantastic save, but it was a savable penalty. I was surprised at the strength of the Sunderland team they brought along. You know, bearing in mind they're going for promotion this season. Yeah. You know, I think at the time they was first or second in the league when they played this, and I was thinking, you know, look back and you think that's actually they've come to win the game. They've clearly come to win the game, basically. And in all fairness, we had our chances, but so did they. And they matched us. They're so I could completely agree with Dave. They are somewhat better than some of the teams we've played so far. So yeah, I thought it was a good game. You know, it's gutted to lose it. You know, we didn't. I don't think it did. A draw would have been a bad result at the end of the game. You know, 0-0 to go to penalties. But we should never have lost either with that disallowed one. But I think, you know, knowing it was the offside just ruined everyone's penalties, and then Chair's balloon. I mean, how it stayed in the ground. Yeah, it was that high over. I mean, the people in the gardens behind were ready to catch the ball. It was just just a bit shocking, really. But in a way, I'm kind of glad to be out the cup because I think I generally think we've got a chance of promotion this year. You know, to at least make the playoffs, and the cup was getting in the way. And you know, with the FA Cup coming around the corner now, I love the FA Cup. It's one of my favourite cups. I really do enjoy it. I watch all the initial rounds. I was watching, on BBC and ITV every weekend.
Yeah,
I just think it's one of those. I'll be happy to get knocked out first round. Let's go for the league.
Yeah,
I'm with you. Yeah,
that's fair enough. I can see what you mean, but I'd say the one thing about the cup this year, like from my point of view, like my son's 12 now, and he's been going for a couple of years, and it's been mostly miserable. Most of the game, but like when we beat Everton in the previous round, he was just on cloud nine, and just beating a team that obviously he knew Everton were. He was all over it. Now he was so excited about the cup all like for the weeks leading up to it, and he was so when he saw the draw and he could have had Arsenal in the next round, he was like, "Oh my God, I could have got he's going, we could beat them. They're rubbish, Arsenal." Well, we probably wouldn't, but I think for the younger generation, it's something really exciting for them. We weren't going to win it. Let's be honest. If we'd have got through, we'd have probably got out of the next round. But I think it's helped to look like there's such a good feeling around QPR at the moment, and having a little cup run, I think has helped that. Has helped the general mood around the place. But obviously, it was so difficult.
Yeah. It's nice to get rid of that first round knockout, traditional knockout.
Yeah, exactly.
2-3 games a week. You can see it in the performances now. The players, they look absolutely shattered, properly shattered, and we've lost that spark, haven't we?
Yeah.
Pre-season, the first few games, the way that Chair and Willock and that were passing it around, these little flicks of movement, we seem to have lost it. Now it's a case of this half-hearted pass. I keep coming back to the Blackburn game because it's most recent, but some of the passes there. I mean, I used to play five-a-side, but they're simple passes. From me to you, to me, they're missing those. And I think that's just because they're so tired, and that comes back down to having to play so many games and the cup gets in the way. But I agree, my daughter's 17 and she was there. We went to the pre-season games, beating United and beating Leicester, and she's never seen that, But you've got to remember this QPR that I remember at your age, this is what we've done week in, week out.
Exactly.
We used to beat these teams. Yeah.
Well, I must admit, I watched the last 30 minutes huddled in a hotel bedroom, meant to be away for a romantic weekend or romantic break rather, and managed to get a good Wi-Fi connection in there, and I'm sitting on the edge of the bath watching this. But that it seemed to me that Sunderland had really done their homework. They really knew what they were doing. They adopted a high press as well. No great surprise. Made it very difficult for us to play out. I have to say that the wing backs responded well to that. Odebayo and Kake really were good. I mean, that was probably the best I've seen them for a while. Without ball though in midfield, and that was obviously a conscious decision not to play him. I thought we struggled. We really did. We needed a bit of steel in the middle, but there we go. Amos and Chair, they did very well. I was quite pleased with them, the way that they're performing. But if you're running without Johansson, there is a bit of spark missing there and a bit of connectivity as well, I think. But anyway, penalties. Oh gosh, for me, it was a bit of a mystery. Although I would not have had Chair or Barbe come up until the fourth or fifth person. I suppose if they volunteer, that's the way it goes. But both of them look knackered, and people who are taking penalties should not be tired because they're not going to give a good performance. And what was wrong with Andre Gray not stepping up before them and him doing it? To me, it seemed crazy that he wasn't doing it, but there we go.
Striker not taking a penalty.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, enough of that.
A man who's paid to take goals.
I think the first one set the tone, didn't it?
It didn't do well.
Terrible penalty. It was, it was a savable one, wasn't it? And that kind of set the tone. I was worried when they picked the end, so we were doing it at our end. I don't think we've ever won a penalty shootout at the loft end. I can remember we lost to Vauxhall Motors. One was at the loft end. We lost to Cardiff and Bristol City at the loft end. So I did think, oh no. So I've had bad memories of that before. So yeah,
So
it's
the
just
plan
hard
is
one.
next
We
time we
never
go
want to
penalty
shoot out that
shootout.
end.
So the plan is next time it's penalty shootout, you run onto the pitch and nick that goal quickly before they make a decision.
Exactly. Go the other end. Don't wait.
You see me run down to Lindsay Road with goal on my shoulder. See ya. We've got this one.
So our last match in October was yet another one that was selected for Sky. I don't think I've ever known a period when we've had so many on Sky. And it featured the R's at home to Notts Forest, with it ending 1-1. So can I start by asking you, Chad, whether you were there, and was the team selection that predictable and therefore no surprise for Forest?
The answer to that is yes and yes. Yeah, I was at the game. A Friday night. You know, it's. I think teams expect who's going to come in now. I mean, partly that's due to the players that people know are injured and stuff like that as well. You know, we've got some obviously longer term injuries and stuff like that as well. But also, Mark Warburton is a creature of habit, I think, as well. And he, you know, so yeah, it was predictable. You know, it's bizarre. It really was a game of two halves as well, wasn't it? It was, you know, we scored in injury time against the runner play in the first half. They scored against the runner play in injury time in the second half. Yeah. You know, a draw wasn't, you know, it's one of those. We don't win on Friday nights. We don't have a great record on Sky, and we rarely beat Forest. So 1-1 draw, I was very, very happy with.
Yeah.
I think it also wasn't helped by the fact that this was our third game in 7 days. So and there's really no chance of resting the players. All the best you could do was just sort of say, right, let's get ready for the next game. And of course, obviously they've replaced Chris Houghton with Steve Cooper, and really I think that helped. There's no doubt about it. It made the difference. It shouldn't have done. I don't know how it has, but it made a difference to them in the way they played and everything. Perhaps they had a better attacking ethos. I don't really know. It doesn't sound like Steve Cooper either, really, to be like that. But the team that we selected was very attack focused yet again, with Dazelle replacing Ball. But we're up against a side that was really set up exactly the same, and yet again adopting a high press, which is something we're really going to have to now, I feel, either get used to or at least finding some way to get round, because every side now is watching the videos. They're all working out how to play us. Forest played good football. They really did. They were matching us in every single area. But without a doubt, the loss of Demise early on and McCullum made a difference, because it restricted Warburton in what he could do in terms of substitutions. And yeah, I can't get away from the fact that I was gutted that we lost in the closing minute or so. But overall, it was, as you say, a fair result.
Yeah, it was just...
Dave, we discussed the possibility of having a depressing month of results to review in this podcast, if you remember beforehand.
Yeah.
Was this the depressing performance and result that you expected?
No, I think, like Chad said, it was. We never normally beat Forest. We never normally win on a Friday, so I wasn't hugely surprised that it was a draw. But like you said, I thought first half they were the better side. They were quite good, and I thought the injuries really did hamper us, losing both of those. Like you say, we couldn't make any real changes second half. I thought when we were on top second half, we played some good stuff second half. I was a bit unlucky not to get a second. If we could have brought on, I don't know, like an Austin last 15 minutes, just try and give them something else to worry about, might have made a difference, or just bring someone on to break the game up the last 10 minutes. We couldn't really do that. And they looked dead on their feet the last 10 minutes, I thought, Rangers. But having to play, it's twice now with the cup games, they've had to play the Tuesday and the Friday, and it really hasn't helped us. It seems insane that they were forced to do that. And they were, I mean, the goal was unlucky, wasn't it? I mean, it was a mad deflection that went in. There's not really much they could have done about it, really.
Dieng had it covered, didn't he? Dieng had that save covered all day long. It was just unlucky. But it's just, you mentioned there about sort of being knackered and stuff like that. But that sums up our team at the moment. We've got some great players, but they are injury-prone players. Coming back. People like Amos, he's got a lot more to show for us. But those 2 injuries must be playing on his mind.
Yeah.
Sam McCullum, great player, but the reason we got him is because he gets injured a lot as well. And Device, same thing, gets injured a lot. So this is kind of, I think, the people we talked about Les Ferdinand and Lee Hughes earlier, but I think actually it's our clinical team, our doctors and stuff should be great at the moment.
Yeah.
We have the technology to rebuild. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's part. We were saying before about we've got like a bottom half budget and a top 6 team. A lot of that is because a lot of these players have got problems. If they weren't injury prone, a lot of these we wouldn't be going anywhere near them. They'd be going for millions. So that's how we've managed to get them. And last year we were, I don't know if lucky is the right word, but we didn't really get many injuries, so he was able to move the team around, keep everyone fresh last season. That was never going to last. And this last month we've been quite. We've had quite a few injuries. I mean, the left-hand side's been we lost Wallace. McCallum's now out for a while. I think Odebajo got injured on Saturday. I know he went off at our time. I think I heard there was an injury there involved. So and it all seems to be in the same sort of areas. We've lost Field. With Johansson's been in and out, and we've just been a bit. And with the game so thick and fast, if you're out for 2 weeks, that's like 3-4 games, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it does.
Odebajo, I tell you today, they've announced that it's a hamstring.
Oh, it is.
We're talking about 6 weeks minimum, I think.
Oh, God.
That leaves a bit of an issue, doesn't it?
So that means now it's a question of Barbe filling that role until Wallace gets back.
And basically, our bare bones. We're bare bones now at the back, aren't we?
Basically, yeah.
Well, I have to say, jumping forward slightly on the game on Saturday, the Sky commentator was going on about the depth of squad we've got and who was sitting on the bench. Look who they can bring on here from up front. The trouble is we've got people up front who are just not scoring at the moment because they're tiring. They look as if they're carrying injuries. It doesn't look good. Anyway, enough of that. Let's move on. So we had a bit of a luxury. We didn't have to play until Wednesday against Cardiff. And I'll start by saying that the team selection was the best available on paper outside of the medical room, with Adoma and Odebayo covering the wing-back positions. Gray was up front with Dykes because Willock was unavailable, if you remember. In the 36th minute, Dazelle made a really good pass through to Gray, who was in between the two centre-backs, and he turned around to do the shot that we always feel he can do, and he made a great goal. It really was a good goal. Then he went off injured in the 52nd minute, and you started to think, well, this is not going well. One goal, and then he's off, and he was replaced by Austin, and I don't think really Austin did anything of any great consequence. And then Chair went off because he had a knock, just as Cardiff were going into the ascendancy. And bringing on Ball for him made sense. And at 82 minutes, so did bringing on Amos for Dazelle, who was obviously clearly starting to tire. And I think we clung on to win. That's how it felt to me. I don't know about you, Dave. Do you remember what your prediction was for Hoops and Dreams Forum?
I can't remember what I predicted for the game, but I thought Cardiff were poor throughout. Did I do 1-1?
Yeah.
Oh, blimey. Well, I'm glad it went 1-1 then. But I thought Cardiff were going to be quite direct and physical with us and get balls in the box. They didn't really do anything, to be honest. It was quite comfortable for a lot of the game. As I say, it was a great ball for the goal. We just didn't look in any danger until about the last 5 minutes when they started throwing in long throws and corners, and then all of a sudden it was like the Alamo, wasn't it? They were hanging on for dear life the last couple of minutes. They just about hung on to it. But it was a better result than performance. It was one they kind of needed to get something out of after they had a few defeats in the last couple of weeks. Yeah. I thought they looked reasonably comfortable throughout. Dazelle, I thought, had a good game in midfield. Like I said, it was a fantastic pass for the goal. Gray did about 3 or 4 of those runs to get in behind earlier and just never got picked out. And then obviously he did for the goal, but obviously straight away he's injured, so I don't know how long he's going to be out for. It was he's not been great since he's come in so far, but he's got 3 goals without playing great. So you'd hope there's more to come from him.
I agree. Yeah. Chad, what do you think?
It's one of those games, again, a team that's really struggling, lost so many games in a row. It was never going to be an easy game. It was never going to be a pretty, game of, purist football passing it around and stuff like that. And they're scrapping. Like, Cardiff did look nervous, and I agree with Dave. They didn't look threatening, but in the back of your head thinking, yeah, we've also got a knackered team, a team that's literally down to bare bones and stuff like that as well. So I was, the usual on edge watching it and thinking, oh God, please, let's hang on, get another pillar, hiding behind another cushion sort of thing as they kept attacking. But I think we deserved the 1-0. I think it was good, and I must admit, I don't know why, but I just like beating Cardiff. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because of the playoff final and the antics before that, a few years back and all that sort of stuff. But to me, I just like beating Cardiff. So it was one I really, really enjoyed, really celebrated hard. Maybe too hard, and had a hangover the next day.
Just for impartiality, there are other nations that you can also deride.
Well, I am partly Welsh, so it's not a Welsh thing, it's just a Cardiff thing.
I must admit, for me, it's Swansea, but there we are.
Yeah, well,
okay. So on to our final match that we're going to review. And surprise, this was yet another Sky transmission away to Blackpool. Could we end with another win? In the end, it ended up as 1-1. So Dave, I know you were there. It was obvious that the injuries and the tiredness, which in all fairness, we have to say for all sides, because I know that Blackpool had a load of injuries as well, are impacting the performances that we're seeing during this period. So were you happy with the draw?
Yeah, more than happy with the draw with the way the game went. I mean, the conditions were awful. I mean, as we walked to the ground, it was about a 20-minute walk from town into the ground. And it was like that Birmingham game, the rain. It was unbelievable. I was drenched through by the time we got there. I think the whole away end just was like a frozen mess, I think, for the start of the game. It was horrible. The wind was going. So with those conditions, I was stood there thinking, this is one that I've seen this before. Difficult conditions up north on the telly, we're probably going to get beat here. But they showed a lot of character, I thought. Blackpool were very good. I was reasonably surprised. I thought they looked a really good side. One of the best sides we've played this season, And then to get a point in the end, it was quite a good result, really. I mean, we had chances to win it late on, which would have probably been a bit unjust, to be honest. But a point was probably fair. I mean, the goal we conceded was poor by Barbe. Obviously, he had to go to left back because of the injuries, so I don't know if that affected him. But he's given it away, and then I didn't think Dieng needed to bring him down, to be honest. He was going wide of goal. It was a bit of a calamity all the way round, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we don't look like saving a penalty, do we? I don't remember the last time we actually saved one, so it was obviously going to be a goal. But yeah, a draw was probably fair, to be honest.
Chad, what do you think of the game? Do you think that Warburton could have done anything different to get a different performance and turn a draw into a win?
I don't know, really. I mean, again, you come back to the old injury thing. Both teams are injury prone. I mean, that game for me summed up the championship. It wasn't a quality game. Dave has mentioned the weather wasn't great, but the amount of misplaced passes on both sides was a little bit embarrassing, to be quite honest. And but there's both two teams who've got limited budgets, trying to do their best. Both got shouts of getting into the playoffs. Really, Blackpool have been doing fantastically well. Really, I mean, they've probably got a smaller budget than we have, and yet they're only a couple of points behind us. So I thought, I think a draw was a fair result, especially as that that after 4 minutes they put one in, which was ruled offside, which really wasn't. It was a tough call. I think it was the right call at the time by the referee and the linesman, because you see it was that much over the line when he got his foot on it. How are you going to call that in the speed of the game? It's great when you got slow motion and sort of stuff. So I think it was the right call at the time, but also it was a massive let-off. So I'll take a draw all day long, but we did have chances to win it at the end as well. So yeah, it was just another championship game, another tough one out of the way. We haven't lost, let's move on basically, Just going back on what you mentioned about Gray, earlier on, Gray was never a signing I really liked. For someone who scored 5 goals in a championship winning team with all those players around him at Watford, I just don't know if he fits in with what we do, but also what we do is we don't put enough through balls in. You know, that pass from Dazelle for Gray's goal was absolutely sublime. But how many times do we actually try that? We play around the box and we pass it back and then we go back to halfway line, then we play forward again. Teams are pressing us now. I kind of want to see Dykes and like a Gray, you know, long balls coming out, Dykes is flicking on for Gray to run onto. You know, that perhaps that's our style of play now, you know, because we get pressed and we can't play out from the back anymore.
Yeah, you might be right on that. Do you think that maybe Dazelle, that's not Dazelle, sorry, Amos, that's why they're sort of trying to play him, because he provides that sort of like the sharp end of the diamond that does feed through the middle. Because you're absolutely right. There's very few balls that are coming through. Dazelle's managed one that was superb. I think Chair's done the same, but really it does need to be a lot better than it is. So yeah, maybe.
It is odd because we score like in every game, and like attacking wise we're good going forward and all that. But we don't create loads of chances. You know, it's like I think Austin's only got one league goal this year, but he's not had loads of chances to miss. You know what his game is. If he's in the box, he's just got to get crosses in, get balls around him. They're not really creating anything for him to miss. Same with Dyke. Dyke's most of his chances he's making himself. I don't know how he's solved it, to be honest. It is quite hard because the players we've got are all kind of number 10, sort of like midfield players, aren't they? They want to pass through teams and play that way.
Yeah, I think you look at Dykes on Saturday against Blackpool, he really did look isolated. And it must be very frustrating for him. And you can see that he was coming back to try and get the ball and to help out.
So you don't want to see your striker in your own half, do you? You never want to see your striker in your half picking up a ball. You know, Dykes for me is a completely underrated player. I think he, you know, given his chances, all right. There's a couple of, what was the game for? Was it Forest? He missed a couple of sitters. Really should have just buried him. You know,
it was.
But you know, but their keeper did make a couple of, you know, they actually were pretty good saves in the end as well. I just don't think he's getting the service he needs either. You know, none of the strikers are. You know, Charlie, you know, last time he come on, I think he picked up the ball just outside our own outside our own box. And what is Charlie doing out there? You know, you want to want your Amos, you want your Chairs, your Willocks to get the ball and be sprinting forward. We don't seem to do that. We seem to get the ball, wait for them to run back, the other opposition team to run back, set themselves up. Oh, then we'll come and attack you. Yeah. You don't have that. You know, Mark Waltman keeps about this fast pass. But it's a fast pass back to their own player to go across the back, to move it forward a bit, to come back again. We don't seem to have that real breaking quality, that real get out of speed sort of thing. I think we're missing a bit of that at the moment as well.
Yeah, and if you look at it, that Dykes is being used as an intermediary to sort of head the ball further forward or onto somebody else, that person that he's passing on to has to be more mobile than we've got with Austin and Gray.
Yeah.
It's almost like a Zamora role. He's been asked to hold the ball up, but he doesn't hold the ball up, does he? Zamora used to get the ball and hold it up and wait for the players to come around him. Dykes is more up. He wins headers for fun, but he's flicking on and there's nobody running past him.
Yeah, absolutely right. I must say that I did like the fact that you had, come back to what I was saying about the diamond, you've got Chair and Willock being fed by Dazelle and Amos. I thought that worked very, very well. But that in itself may explain why Austin suddenly appeared over on the wings, because he felt that it was getting so congested in the middle, he had to move out to get some service. But that, of course, relies upon the wing backs, and you know, Adomo had his hands full, quite honestly. I like you. I think Blackpool played very well. I thought that for a side that have just been newly promoted, they were pretty impressive. So, you know, that was good for them.
Nothing to lose, aren't they? Everyone's expecting them to go down. Everyone's expecting them to go down. So they're playing without fear. You know, we can go with this. We're not expecting to be this high up. Let's just go for it and see what happens this week.
Yeah, the atmosphere there as well was incredible. I've never heard in years a home crowd as loud as that. There was only 11,000 there, I think.
You're right.
Like the whole game, and it definitely had an impact on the game. You know, that's a hard place to go to get results. So Fulham have already lost there this year. I think they're going to do all right. They're going to do well this year, Blackpool.
Yeah. Do they know any other songs though? Because one song went on for about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it does.
That's what it felt like anyway.
To be honest. It was quite funny though when they were passing their flag round before the game, and then the wind took it and blew it away. So that all went wrong for them.
I was impressed by the drummer as well. Yeah. Okay. So let's look at the stats for those games that we've gone through. For the 6 league games, ignore the Caribou Cup disaster. We've won 2, lost 2, and drawn 2, which not sure what that tells us. At the end of all that was 6. The total points that we got during that period were 8. The total goals scored was 6, but we conceded 8. So it's a -2 for that period. Funnily enough, it's better than the previous month. The extrapolation of those points, if we come out with it, we end up with 75 points at the end of the season, which is not bad. I mean, that's definitely playoff. But we have lots of injuries, and I think we have injuries in a squad that has not got a great depth in terms of skills and experience. I think everybody agrees that Kake is there or thereabouts, but is not that good for top championship. And there are other players just like him who are in that squad who can't be relied upon to do more than just the basic job. That's what I feel. So,
to me, he's a young guy, though, isn't he? Kake
Yes.
is a young guy. He's still learning his trade. I sat next to him. It was what was the game he didn't play against the other week? Was it the Forest game?
Yeah, I think so.
Forest. So he was sat next to us, and I was saying to him as soon as he saw, a couple of injuries go out. Was it McCullum and Device go out? And I was telling him,
yes.
I bought your boots, haven't you? You want to get back downstairs a bit rapid. But it's those results, those figures. You say about 75 points will get us, into the playoffs. I think those sort of results will leave short. I think there's going to be, you're always going to get 2 or 3 teams. I think I've never known a season where it's so congested at the moment. It's like 3 or 4 points separate 10 teams.
Yeah,
it really is. So we're not playing for first or second. We're playing from 3rd to 6th. That's what we're playing for. First and second sorted, as far as I'm concerned. Fulham and Bournemouth can just do what they want to do. As long as they can beat the teams around us, and I'm happy, sort of thing. It's a good league. It may not be a great league in terms of quality, but from a competition point of view, there's a lot of teams that can go for it this year.
Yeah, it's so tight. You look at, like you say, from 3rd, 4th down to about 15th. There's not a lot of points in it. And even some of the ones struggling, like you think Sheffield United and Cardiff have struggled, but if Cardiff they're going to get a new manager, and you don't know how they're going to do. Middlesbrough are going to have a bit of money to spend by the sound of it in January. It's going to be tight this year.
You've only got to look at Forest. Started out, absolutely awful. Thankfully for Forest, I've got one of my golfing buddies is a Forest fan, so I've taken my money off him already this year, so I'm happy with that. But you see a turnaround, a new manager's done. That's it. We played a completely different Forest team from like 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Yeah,
completely different team. A team full of confidence, winning games, scoring goals and stuff like that as well.
It was the wrong time.
Yeah, it was absolutely. But I think likes of Cardiff and Barham, it's going to make it a tough league this year.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think for me the surprise has been Blackpool, and probably the surprise in the other way has been Sheffield United. They're a team that should have performed better.
Well, Chris Mulder's available now, so you might see a turnaround.
Yeah. Or Neil Warnock, you never know. Right.
Oh yeah, Neil Warnock. Yeah. Good point.
Last month's guests, James and Steve, made their predictions alongside mine, and frankly, they were that good. I think between us, we got two right decisions for James, 1 for Steve, and 1 correct result for me. So that's pretty low in our predictions. But this gives chance for you two to excel. So as we move on to the prediction side of things. Right, so first match in November that we come up to after the international break is on Friday the 19th. And sees QPR, I presume that must be a Sky one, and sees QPR at home to Luton. So your thoughts and predictions, please, Dave.
I think that's a tough one. Luton have had a good season so far.
Yeah.
And it's obviously it's always quite competitive, that game against Luton, to say the least. I think that'll be someone. I think that'll probably be a draw, that one. Again, It's the Friday night Sky issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'd say a draw, maybe like 1-1 for that one.
Okay, that sounds fair. Chad? What do you reckon?
I predict the Luton fans will be horrible as usual and be, but again, they've had a similar season to us. They're not far off us. I think there's only a point or two between us.
Yep.
They're a bit hit and miss, one loss, drawn, and things like that as well. I'm going to go 1-1 as well.
Oh gosh, okay, right. Well, the optimism then will have to lie with me, because Luton have done very well since they were promoted, and for whatever reason, we always seem to struggle against them. Absolutely right. Their fans don't help. Having said that, I'm going to stick my neck out and predict a 1-0 win. So let's see who's right on this.
Hopefully,
I hope so too. So we get a few days off then before hosting Huddersfield on Wednesday the 24th. So your thoughts and predictions on this one, Chad?
It's another one, isn't it? Another team really close to us in the league. Huddersfield,
Playing well.
They are playing well. You wouldn't be, what is it, the 7th, 8th place at the moment. You've got to win games and be a decent team to be up there, sort of thing. They lost their last game, so which obviously might knock their confidence a bit. And so we're going to go 2-1 QPR.
Whoa. Okay, that's good. And Dave?
Yeah, I thought they'd struggled this year, Huddersfield, but they've done really well. You say they're like around the top 8 at the minute. They're doing all right. I think we'll win this one, though. I'll go 2-0 to us for this one.
Oh, I like this.
Clean sheet, I like it.
Clean sheet, no worries about that.
This is like role reversal. Okay, so I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw on this one. So I just feel that it's going to be a tight one, and I really think they're playing well at the moment. Okay, so only a few days later, on Monday the 29th, the R's are away to Derby. I'm guessing again this must be another Sky one.
Yeah.
And of course, Derby are working very hard to reverse the impact of their points deduction for being cheats. So they've won a lot of games recently. I think they've surprised everybody by how they've kept at it, and the squad's not been demoralised at all. But of course, they have got a very good quality, if overspent, squad. So the R's need to be cautious. For their cavalier attitude on FFP alone, I want them relegated. But I will go for a 1-1 draw. So, Dave, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, looking at them, obviously the league position, they're struggling, and I think they probably will go down. But they've done quite well, really, considering the season. They haven't been that bad. I've been quite surprised by them. I think this is one of them ones where everyone's going to expect us to go and win. I will beat them. They're down the bottom, and it'll probably be a draw. I think it's a tough. I think that's a tough game. Yeah, I'd probably say the same 1-1 draw. I think for that one.
Okay, Chad.
You are in a position of your club. You talk about your players, your manager, and as a club, they deserve to be down the bottom, in my opinion, for what they've done over the years and been blatant about it. So I have no sympathy for them. The whole Wayne Rooney, 60 grand a week paid by some betting sponsor company, it's wrong, basically. I don't see them as being, I think the last 6 games, they haven't won in 6-7 games, something like that. Lots of draws, a couple of losses in there and stuff as well.
Yeah.
So they are down there. And I think that's not because they're playing bad football. It's because they are trying so hard to get these wins and play catch up that they're getting caught, basically. It won't be an easy game. But again, it's the Derby's a team I do like winning. That you just got to think of the playoff final, and their fans. Most of the fans were quite nice people. I had a good laugh, but there was a few horrible people from up that way. So I do like beating them. I'm going to go 1-0. Come on, bring it on. QPR. 89th minute. I want to say some more again, but I took
Well, maybe we can get Austin to fill that role. Who knows? Right. So that game is followed by QPR at home to Stoke on Saturday, the 4th of December. So what do you think, Dave? Stoke? Another good side at the moment.
Yeah, the another side they've done really well this year. I think they've got quite a good manager. They're a strong side. But I think at home we've got to back ourselves to beat my teams. I think we'll beat Stoke. I think it'll be a close game. But I think maybe I'm going to go a goal fest. I'm going to go 3-2 plus.
Whoa. Okay.
Wow.
Okay, Chad.
Well, Stoke have they've had a bit of a dodgy form, but they have won the last couple of games.
Yeah.
You know, we've always seemed to have struggled against Stoke. You know, so it'd be a tough game. Home, I'm going to go 1-0 QPR. You know, I'm going to go. Let's take. You know, let's go. Be brave.
Okay, well, you'll be surprised to learn that I've actually gone with you for this 1-0. So it's finally one that I agree on. Well, I think if looking quickly at that, I think for those predictions that the majority are saying that we're going to draw and win. There's no losses there at all.
We just can't bring ourselves to say a loss. That's the problem.
No, I'm not saying we're gonna
You're absolutely right. So let's see how we get on with that one. Let's see. So last month we asked about Player of the Month, and I think two of us went for Chair, which was no great surprise. This month, well, I'll start off with me. I might as well be fair. Dazelle, McCallum, and Amos have all impressed when they played. And you've got to commend Chair and Willock, Dykes and Barbet. It's really nice to be able to sort of say there's so many different people it could be. But my nomination goes to Albert Adoma because he's managed to not only fill the right wing back position ahead of Odebayo and Kake, he's actually been good at it. You know, we agree, I think, that he started off a bit, he really did look a bit lost. But he really, in the last few games, he's done really, really well. Yeah, I know he took out the guy with that professional foul. Frankly, I don't think he had any other choice. And knew Dickie was not going to.
It wasn't a professional foul. It was a wrestling move.
And he rightly got the yellow card.
Yeah.
And we've all complained that QPR has always been too nice a side to actually do things like this. I think we should just accept that, you know, sometimes we need to. So for me, it's Albert. Dave, what about you?
Yeah, I'd agree, to be honest. I think Albert as well. I think he's had a really good month. He's making that position his own on the right. I think whoever's played on the right defensively, we've had issues the last 2 years, really. But I think going forward, he's had a real impact. The Forest game, the assist he did at the Forest game, and the Blackburn game, he really got the crowd going and inspired the second half. So yeah, I'll go on that with Adoma. I think he's been good.
Chad? Come on, you can go different.
Yeah, do you do it? I dare you, do something different. The trouble is, as you say, there have been some great individual performances. You know, Dazelle is fast becoming one of my favourite players. He makes the game look so simple. Okay, granted, he does do a lot of simple balls to players to start, you know, get the ball rolling sort of thing. But I generally think he's going to be a key player for us in the coming years. But unfortunately, Adoma's living my QPR dream. You know, he is a QPR fan. He loves it. We all want to be Adoma, you know, and from the minute he kicks off, all I want in my head, I keep saying is, oh, Albert Adoma. It's in my head all the time because he's just loving it. And he plays with passion. You know, when he wants the other opposite team to time wasting, the way he grinds over, picks the ball up, slams it down, take the kick, come on, get going, sort of thing. You know, he is getting better. You know, I mentioned, you know, he's not a right wing back, and he should never be played as right wing back. But it's him. He's single. And to me, he's helped the team improve. He wants to get forward and stuff like that. You know, so yeah, it's got to be, you know, Unks for me. You know, okay. Great player, love the bloke, absolutely adore the bloke.
Okay, well, hopefully the club's listening and they've already got him penciled in as Player of the Month. I think it's deserved, frankly. And I think next month we might well turn around to find Barbet for exactly the same reason, you know, covering the left wing back position. It might well be that way. It's going to be difficult for the next couple of weeks, I think.
Okay. We've got good, some tough weeks coming up.
We have. So another question I've got for you regarding the media articles that have gone out about the Linford Christie Stadium. I don't know how your feelings on this. It seems that this one has gone the wrong way. And there's a bit of a war of words going on between the council and the club. So your thoughts on this, Chad?
my company, I run a survey company, and we've done a lot of work for Hammersmith and Fulham Council. I know how bad that Linford Christie Stadium is. I know how bad it needs to come down. It's knackered, and something has to happen with it. It's just, I don't understand. What I don't get is, why is there not constructive talks? We have somebody who wants to develop the ground, to have a main sports stadium, keep athletics and all that sort of things, and be part of the community. But we've got a council that probably wants the same thing, but sees us as trying to make money as a developer. Well, the trouble is, you've got very wealthy people running our club that are successful businesses and that make money. Well, of course, they're trying to make money. Whether they're trying to make money individually for themselves, or make money to put it back into the club to make us bigger and better and help Hammersmith grow, I don't know. At some point, you need to knock some heads together and say, for God's sake, sit in a room, sit down and sort this out one way or another. I think it's last chance corral for us. If we don't get Linford Christie, then we're off down the A4 corridor somewhere. Down that is. It'd be a shame not to get Linford Christie Stadium. And you kind of think, well, Brentford have done so well. And rude words mentioned in Brentford to some people, but I actually quite like them. I think that's a well-run, proper club, that one. But they seem to have found a ground, developed it, and moved on really, really quickly. All right, granted, it was a bit of a ground that nothing else could probably be built, and they weren't going to build housing or anything like that. But Linford Christie, could you build houses on that, really? I'm not too sure, to be quite honest. So yeah, it'd be a shame if they can't get it together. And this war of words over media does nobody any favours. Doesn't make us look good. Doesn't make Hammersmith Fulham look good. It's just a time they get in a room now. We need it. They need it. Let's just get on, basically.
I'm with you on that. And Dave?
Yeah, you just kind of want to bang their heads together. It just seems so petty, releasing statements to each other through the media. I didn't like the council, some of the things they were saying about QPR having overseas owners and having overseas millionaire owners.
Yeah.
Well, Fulham have got an American owner, Chelsea have got a Russian owner. That doesn't seem to make any difference to them. I just find it all odd. It just seems such a win for everyone, really, to have the stadium moved to Linford Christie. It just seems so obvious to do it there, but I don't think it will happen. It just seems there's too many obstacles in the way. It's such a shame that there's been so much development around the area the last 10, 15 years, and you see like Westfield popping up and all the housing developments. You just think, well, I wish we could have moved the stadium there, or done, wish we could have done something before. But obviously when all that was going up for sale, there was no money at the club. They were skint. So it was, it's just so frustrating. I mean, hopefully it happens, but I'm not overly optimistic about it. It doesn't.
Well, the Derek Crest site, the Derek Crest site was just prime, wasn't it? Absolutely prime. Sat knackered for years and years and years and years. And you say about money and time and stuff like that. That is unfortunate. But at the same time, I think I got to mention the old Oak site. I think the way that the club handled that, about we're going to do this, and not even telling Car Giant, by the way, we're going to kick you off. You don't upset someone like Car Giant. That guy is an amazing businessman. The guy who owns that, he's a QPR fan, but he's an amazing businessman. The amount of estate that guy owns, he could mess us over for years, because all the grounds we're looking at, I'm pretty sure he's got a finger in. Yeah. So we should have sat down with him and said, look, you want something better, we need something better. Why can't we build something together and both win? But I think the owner's messed up. From what I read, the owner's messed up.
They messed up completely. Yeah, the old side. Yeah, that was poor.
So with regard to the Linford Christie Stadium, all I was going to say is that when you walk down South Africa Road to a match, it's great to see the local people out there with their kids playing football, with QPR supervising it and everything and initiating it. It's lovely to see what happened with Grenfell. You felt the club was part of the community, and therefore to see that we're having this being at odds with the council over the Linford Christie Stadium, it's just terrible. That area has got a lot of problems. It has got disparate stakeholders. It's a difficult one to develop, but we could have ended up with superb athletic facilities, which would have been a tribute to Linford Christie, a great event venue, which would have brought in money, and a new stadium at the end. And it really does frustrate me that yet again, we've seen the other sides have progressively improved, like Brentford, Chelsea and Fulham, and we've been left behind. So I've said on the Hoops and Dreams forum that I feel that there probably is no future for us in the borough, which is really, really sad. Logic therefore says that we do, as you said, Chad, move down the A4 corridor to Hounslow or the borough of Hillingdon, because it's near to the training facilities. It makes sense. You know, you're not hardly going to go east, and probably not north. There is, funny enough, I was looking on Google, as you do when you've got nothing better to do, Uxbridge Football Club, which has been used by the women's soccer team. They've got a footprint that's actually bigger than QPR's. So it's possible we could develop that and come into some sort of ground sharing with them. If you're listening, Lee Hughes, it was my idea first.
I mean, you talk about ground sharing, but it is a way forward. You've got to remember, our stadium is used for 90 minutes, 2 or 3 times a week. What a waste of space.
Yeah.
You know, I mentioned my company, but one of the things we do is talk about how people use space effectively. And I refer to QPR football clubs as the biggest waste of space going, you know, because it is just, you work out pounds or pence how much it's to run a club. So actually, you only make money when you're playing. It's like a plane only makes money when it's in the air. So effectively, QPR only makes money for, you know, what, 270 minutes a week potentially. You know, it's terrible from a building. That's absolutely awful. So ground sharing has got to be, it's got to be a multi-use. You know, you've got you know, one of our owners is big in the music industry, or used to be big in the music industry. We could have concerts, you could have boxing. You know, you've had one of the biggest fights ever there, didn't we? The little Irish guy, I can't remember his name now.
Yeah, Barry McGuigan.
McGuigan. One of the biggest boxing nights ever was held at Loftus Road. And you remember, some people are precious about our stadium, saying, "Oh, it's our ground, it's our home." We've moved more times than any other club.
Have we?
You know, backwards and forwards to Whitening, backwards and forwards to White City, and back to Loftus Road. But we've moved more times than any other club. So it's a great home. I love the Loftus Road. I will not miss banging my knees on the blokes back behind in front of me.
I couldn't agree more. I hate it. I mean, yeah, I know Dave said that he made lots of new friends when the rain came down in the Loftus Road. But I tell you what, I hate it. The fact that you're sitting there with your knees digging into somebody's back, you know, and you're squashed in there, trying to look round a pillar to see what's happening. Oh, dreadful, absolutely dreadful.
The only reason we're moving is because we need to get more people in the ground to make more money. Realistically, I mean, don't get it, the ground is knackered, but you could quite happily be in that ground for enough more if they're talking about this terrace standing sort of thing, you know, or hybrid seating sort of thing. If you get another 3,000 or 4,000 people in that ground, it'll start making a bit more money. But ultimately, it does need to be mixed use as well, you know. So, and I can only think that everyone around the ground must benefit. You've only got to walk down the Uxbridge Road and see the 10,000 chicken shops down that road. They're all banned out. They all make money. All the restaurants make money. All the pubs make money. So they will be devastated. That's a lot of income each year to lose if we do move.
Well, you can see as well when we weren't going for that year, when there was no crowds allowed, you've seen pubs around there shutting, everything, a lot of things shut, lost a lot of money around there. You know, it does help the local area really when we're going.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely
House of Fulham. Listen to us, House of Fulham. We know what we're talking about.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to one final subject, which is to do with the QPR Bond. I don't know if either of you two have invested at all. Okay, Dave, have you?
No, I didn't. I would have liked to, but I haven't been able to do it.
Okay, I just wondered. Okay, I must admit I did as well. And I'll ask you, do you think you were surprised by the amount of people that contributed or wanted to contribute to the bond?
No, not at all.
I was obviously a poor club.
QPR are seen as this tiny little club in West London, the smallest club out there. You know, even Brentford are seen as a bigger club than us. But there are a shocking amount of such loyal fans. I mentioned before we started the podcast that out in Germany, you know, when I went to the World Cup out there, you know, I did wear my QPR shirt. I must admit, I'm a sucker for it. Everyone else in English shirts, but the amount of people that come up to me, QPR, love QPR, and you know, QPR fans, it was like it's brotherhood. And I wasn't surprised. You know, I think people we are passionate fans who love this club, and anything we can do to do it. You've got to remember bucket collections. We kept the club going with bucket collections, so no, I wasn't surprised. You know, it's a good opportunity as well. The amount of money you can make off the back of it is better than being in a bank. You know, it's obviously more risk. We all appreciate that, but 5% plus 3% in club spending, yeah, you know, fantastic.
Well, maybe it's the way forward for the stadium.
Oh, absolutely. And if I mean, I think even if QPR come up and said to Hampton and Fulham, said, but basically, you mentioned about us putting money in, get the bond going. Let's get a bond going now. You've got in that Amit Barty, you've got one of the UK's finest investment people there. He knows what he's doing with money. He's not made the amount of money he's got by being a mug. He knows how to invest money properly.
Yeah.
So why not start the bond now? Get the money there. Say to Hampton Fulham, we've got the money here. It's from our fans. You can clearly see the passion. Surely that's going to put a case across.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think everybody wins on this. We end up with a nice return. They end up with brand new facilities, which if they went out onto the market, it would cost them an arm and a leg more. So I'm really pleased. I am surprised, even though I know that the fans are as good as they are, how quickly that was subscribed. Well, oversubscribed actually.
Yeah, it was only about a week, wasn't it? It was really quick. It seemed to all go.
Yeah.
Well, saying that, I did get an email from Tiffany saying, "Do you want to invest any more money as well?" Which I was a little bit surprised at.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah.
So
it was oversubscribed. How can I put more money into something that's oversubscribed? Unless people have just, I don't know, but yeah.
Maybe some of them haven't consolidated. I don't know. But yeah, it's really, really good to see. It shows, firstly, that the club is being dynamic in the way it's thinking, and also I think it shows how good the fans are, how loyal. So it's really, really good. Okay, so that just about wraps up this Hoops and Dreams QPR podcast for the month of November. But as ever, I need to thank my guests. And this month, it's been Surrey Chad. Thank you very much, Surrey Chad. And Dave Barton. Thank you very, very much for coming on and being such good guests. Really enjoyed the time with you. And I was going to do a thing about Chad and Dave being a great musical act, but
we're not going to sing for you.
No. I'll go on then.
I'd also like to thank Northwest Hoop, who runs obviously the superb QPR Hoops and Dreams fan site. It's a really, really good forum. If nobody's done it, Google Hoops and Dreams and get involved. Add your voice to the site. It's a great site. And finally to Fox Fisher for his editing of this production. Oh, thank you very much. This has been a Hoops and Dreams QPR podcast. My name's Brian Fisher. Thank you very much.
We know who we are. You know who we are. We are QPR.